This here is the PS5 and it came out almost 3 years ago, and across that time it's delivered some pretty good PlayStation exclusives, from Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart to Returnal. The thing is, a lot of what this console has to offer appears to be available in other places. Now what I'm really referencing here is Sony's recent PC expansion, bringing a lot of the system selling titles to another platform. On top of this, a lot of the big titles, save for a few like Final Fantasy 16, are coming to PS5 and PS4. So that really begs the question, is this thing really worth having in 2023? Hello guys, it's Aaron here from Push Square, and today I'm going to be digging into that very question. I'm going to be looking at some of the things that the PS5 offers that other places don't have, and maybe comparisons to some of the things that they do. Ultimately though, it all boils down to answering that big question: is it really worth buying a PS5 in 2023? So let's dig into it. First things first, let's talk about some of the features that the PS5 offers before you've even booted up a single game. I'm talking about the accessibility and plug and play experience that is offered via a console. Now, I have always steered towards console gaming because I love its simplicity. I love how easy it is to just plug it in and immediately be able to play the games that I bought. I've never really taken to PC gaming because of this, even when it can offer up a better looking or a better performing experience with the right build. Now I know a lot of people are into their PC gaming because of the customization options, but I like that I can just spend the amount of money that it costs for this, not that it's cheap. And that's really me though. For the next however many years, this is going to do me quite a long time. I've had it for nearly 3 years now, and I suspect I'm going to have it for at least 4 more years. I like that over the idea of having to spend at least double the price of a PS5 to get a manageable or half decent PC, even more so if you want the higher end, and then having to deal with the upgrading elements. Now I know this might be controversial to some PC gamers out there, but that's just how I view it. That's why I like the PS5. But obviously, if we're continuing to compare it to the PC, and let's get on to some other consoles, that form factor here, it's not for everyone. It's a little controversial with this Wi-Fi router design, but in comparison to a PC, of course, it's far more manageable. You're able to put this in a backpack, and I have done on many occasions, taking it to friends' houses or even on holiday with me, because yes, I'm that guy. Now, of course, it isn't quite as sleek or space efficient as the PS4. However, with that controversial Wi-Fi router look, we're able to get those near noiseless fans. And genuinely, I think this is one of the biggest selling points of the PS5 if you came from a PS4. If you were there playing games like The Last of Us Part 2 in the last couple of years of the PS4, then you know that that thing is loud as hell. You have to wear headphones. It's not a choice. You can't hear anything without them. I don't like that. I never liked that. It took me months to even get over the sound of the fans. I could hear them in my dreams. But let's dig into the software itself. Now, looking at that dashboard, something that I wasn't too keen on when I first got my PS5, but grew to love over time. I think it takes a little getting used to, but ultimately once you do familiarize yourself with it, you'll find a really intuitive and streamlined experience that allows you to focus on the games rather than the console, if that makes sense. Managing your party without really having to leave the game or joining a friend from the dashboard, and one of my favorite features of all, having the PlayStation Store built into the dashboard. I mean, genuinely, I'm a big PS Store peruser, and I love to just do it. Even if I have a spare like 30 seconds between a game, I'll jump in the store and just start looking around, and having it far more accessible, it looks a lot nicer, it runs a lot nicer. Just generally speaking, I think this dashboard is a really underrated improvement over what came with the PS4. Now, comparing it to the Xbox dashboard, of course we're lacking in the themes and the customization severely. We are really needing them on PS5, but generally in comparison to PS5, I think the Xbox's dashboard is sometimes a little harder to navigate, at least in my experience. But let's get on to performance. With each console generation, the technological jump is rigorously debated and discussed. The jump from the PS1 to 2, the 2 to 3, and the 3 to 4 were all very noticeable graphical jumps, and a lot of people do complain that that isn't quite the case with the PS5. I don't really agree there, but I think that's because the big focus here is SSD. Now this, of course, practically erases load times. They really are a thing of the past at this point. You aren't really getting more than like a second or two with most games these days. But secondly, it also changes how developers are able to design their levels. Have a look at Returnal. The speed in that game is only possible thanks to the SSD. Have a look at Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. The dimension hopping is not possible without the SSD. And I don't really think you can't say that there's been a graphical bump. If you look at something like the Dead Space remake, the lighting in that game I don't think would be possible on the PS4, and not enough people really talk about those smaller details when it comes to graphical improvements. But that brings me on to my next major point. Come November 2023, this thing will have been out for 3 years, and that also marks the end of the time of which Sony said it would continue to support the PS4. Now, I'm not saying come December 1st or January 1st you won't have any new experiences to play on the PS4, but we've already seen a number of developers move away from their last gen efforts to focus solely on current gen. And this is actually quite exciting. To this point, a lot of the most exciting games on PS5 have been the ones that focus solely on current gen, and that's because, as I've discussed, it impacts how the levels themselves can be designed. When we look at cross-gen titles like Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok, while they look stunning, I think it's obvious to see some of the aspects where design may have been held back due to the limitations of the PS4. Now, as we move on to the latter half of this year and beyond, we're getting a harsher focus on PS5, which I think is really going to pull out the true power of this console. Now, that to me really solidifies the value of the PlayStation 5 moving forward. Not only do you have a great back catalogue of games that are both cross-gen and current gen only, or exclusive and third party, but you also have a really exciting future ahead of you. Now, you may be thinking, doesn't this also apply to Xbox and PC? Because yes, it does, but I do have a couple of counters to that. First up, we have PS Plus Extra, which I genuinely think is in a better standing at the moment than Xbox Game Pass. As of recording, if you signed up for PS Plus Extra today, you would have access to Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Horizon Forbidden West, Returnal, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, Demon's Souls, Final Fantasy VII Intergrade, and much more. Those are some top tier PlayStation games, exclusive or otherwise, allowing you to get great value for money. Then there is the secret little weapon that is the Dualsense controller, and I am not joking you when I say that this is one of the most impressive aspects of this generation. The haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers have some incredible immersive capabilities. I just recently finished the Dead Space remake, and lobbing off limbs with a plasma cutter or feeling the distant rumble of an engine on the USG Ishimura amplified that experience so much. Granted, the Dualsense capabilities are available on those PlayStation PC ports, but I think if you're looking for a more reliable experience outside of the exclusives, then you really should be sticking with PlayStation. Now, bringing that all together, I think you know what my answer will be. I think 2023 is the time to get a PlayStation 5. You have a streamlined gaming experience that wastes none of your time with technical hitches or even loading screens, a far more accessible and intuitive dashboard, an impressive back catalogue of PlayStation titles, most of which are available via PS Plus, an exciting current gen focused future ahead of you, and you have the immersion amplifying features of the Dualsense controller, which no other gaming platform supports quite like Sony. PlayStation is home to some truly fantastic gaming experiences, and the PS5 aims to only make them better. My one caveat to all of this is that if you are considering buying a PS5, you should be aware that rumours are going around that a PS5 Pro or a PS5 with a detachable disc drive are on the horizon. Now, I'm not here to confirm or deny because I don't know, but I would feel bad for influencing you without you at the very least knowing that those rumours were being discussed. Either way though, those are the reasons of which I think the PS5 is worth buying in 2023. Let me know how you've been getting on with this thing, or if you're considering picking one up this year. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, consider leaving a like, and even better, if you're on the hunt for more PlayStation video content just like this, then why not stick with us here on Push Square by hitting that big old subscribe button. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. I've been Aiden, this is Push Square, and I'll see you in the next one.